What's good, everyone? It's your boy Big L with another episode of The Forum. First, I want to apologize, man, to all of the folks who follow my YouTube page and follow my YouTube channel, uh, The Forum. I've been kind of slacking with the videos here lately. Life has a way of happening like that sometimes, where you get caught up in so many different types of things that it may give the impression that your focus has changed and that you're not uh, on the same path as you used to be. Well, let me tell you the truth. I'm still on the same path. I'm still grinding. Uh, I'm still all about that Black empowerment life. I'm still all about educating people on the plight of Blacks, not only in America, but worldwide. And a year ago, I started a series on Dr. Claud Anderson's book, Black Labor, White Wealth. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time giving you a background on why I chose this particular book outside of stating Dr. Claud Anderson is one of the only Black leaders that I have listened to that not only speaks truth about the plight of Blacks, but also provides solutions. And unfortunately, that is one of the chief issues that many of our so-called leaders have, is they spend a lot of time talking about white supremacy this, white racism this, and white privilege this, and all those type of things. But what they don't do is they don't provide our people with solutions on how to get out of that plight. Black labor, white wealth is all about the problem. How Blacks have found them in this situation where essentially we are a permanent underclass in this country, where the dominant white society has continued their path of oppression. And let me be clear, when I say the dominant white society, in no way, shape, or form am I saying whites are superior, that they're better. I'm not even saying that they're evil. I'm just saying because of the system of white supremacy, the system that is set up and has been set up in this country since the very inception, that one of the reasons why it was put together and founded in the manner that it was because it was in order to make sure that those who were in power were able to not only sustain their power and pass that power on down as a form of inheritance and create a legacy of power, but also to maintain that power. So what we see now in this country with the level of oppression and the level of issues that Blacks have in this country is you see Black folks scrambling around trying to find solutions. And I understand, I think finding solutions is great, but oftentimes we spend so much of our energy highlighting the problem that we get caught up and complacent in acknowledging the so-called uh, ability of those who are oppressing us, that we almost say like, well, ain't no use of trying to fight this, they got a stranglehold on this and all that. When that's not true, you have the ability to invoke change, create change, and to be change. And in this book, Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claud Anderson, he speaks clearly and eloquently on how to get an understanding on what the problem is. Because there's this notion that the problem is purely because of our skin color, when that's just not true. The last video I did in this book discussion was the ending of chapter 1, and it was the death of the Black Civil Rights Movement. The death of the Black Civil Rights Movement. That would be video 4. This is going to be video 5. And I'm going to dig in, okay? But if you don't know who Dr. Claud Anderson is, shame on you. But seriously, man, type Dr. Claud Anderson into any search engine and you will get tons of information, videos, lectures, and things along those lines. He's affectionately called the man with the plan. He has this and 3 other books. Black Labor, White Wealth is the problem. It highlights the problem, how blacks have gotten into the situation. Powernomics, which I highly recommend, not only for you to read, but for you to study and for you to begin to implement many of those tools and strategies that he places in there. And he also has Dirty Little Secrets 1 and Dirty Little Secrets 2. And there's a rumor that my man's about to drop another book. So I'm excited about that. Very important and intriguing title, of course. Black Labor, White Wealth speaks volumes. Blacks were the labor that built this country. Whites were the one who gained the wealth because of it. Chapter 2 in this book discussion is titled Power and Black Progress. Before I begin to even read that, let me talk about progress for just a moment, man. Because there's this illusion that blacks have made progress in this country. And other people tend to call it the illusion of inclusion. Because blacks we have social progress. We're able to eat at the same counters. We're able to sit everywhere we want on the bus. Jim Crow is not as flamboyant as it once was. But it still very much exists. There's what we like to call Jim Crow 2.0 now. But we have made progress socially, where certain things in a social setting are now permissible. But we haven't made any progress in the areas of where it counts. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and we were just talking about, me and my homie were talking about inheritance. And I was asking him, like, yo, what type of life insurance you got? You got life insurance for your kids? You know, what you plan on doing? What you plan on building? What's your goals? Are you just plan on being content and being an employee all your life? What are you leaving to your children? Do you want your children to have more than you did outside of leaving them good morals and values? What tangible things are you leaving them? And he wasn't really aware. He wasn't really had a good idea. He wasn't clear on what he wanted to leave them. But I planted a seed in his mind to get him some sort of understanding of what needs to be done and begin. And I told him about the book. But let's dig in. Chapter 2. Power and Black Progress. This quote right here is very poignant and I think very profound. Blacks in power are the oil and water of American politics. Blacks in power are the oil and water of American politics. I'm an avid reader. Like, I would rather read a book, man, than to do a whole lot of other things. I'm literally reading numerous books at one time. I treat books like TV shows. When I'm in a mood for some action, I'll read an action book. When I'm in the mood for a thriller, I'll read a thriller. When I'm in the mood for history, I'll read history. I love to read, but more along the lines, I love to discuss what I'm reading, to share what I'm reading, man. And I know that me doing this book discussion is going to lead to me doing other book discussions. And I'm looking forward to that. But when you think about the concept and the imagery of oil and water, everybody, you don't have to be a chemist or a scientist to understand that oil and water don't mix. Oil Oil and water do not mix. No matter how much you stir it, no matter how much you beat it, no matter even if you turn the temperature up, even if you freeze it, oil and water don't mix because it's the compositions and the chemical makeup of both of them are not able for it to mix in that fashion. And what he's saying here, the person who quoted this, who gave this quote, blacks in power are like oil and water. In American politics, we don't mix. Even, and let's think about that for a moment, even with the idea and the notion and the thought process that we got a black president in the White House right now. We have more black politicians in this country than we've ever had. But can we honestly say that even with those black politicians that we've actually made progress, that there's a level of change that's taking place? What we do have now, we have voices in those places. We have someone who's able to speak, I guess, for us. Now, many can argue, and many do argue, whether President Obama uh, has created change for black people. That's not what this discussion is for. I don't want to get off on the discussion of whether he's been an effective president, whether he's been for black folks or not for black folks. The point is, we have more now than we ever had, but yet our schools are needing quote unquote reform. The criminal justice system needs quote unquote reform. The healthcare industry needs quote unquote reform. The the environment needs and reform, because don't knock the environmental aspect of white supremacy and black injustice, because then you have so many things that fall underneath that. But the way we have practiced politics in this country has always left us at the back of the line, at the end of the list, always begging for other people who are in power to use their power to get us out of our situation. Instead of using our collective abilities to come together and create power, to invoke and create change, we tend to march, boycott, protest, pray. Now, in and of itself, none of those things are bad. There's nothing wrong with doing those things. But if you're using those things solely as the chief means of getting change, we can look throughout history and see that it has never worked for us. It's gotten people's attention. It's gotten people to think about or to see that there's an issue, but no one in power has come and uh, give us free, give us what we need to get out of the situation. It hasn't happened. But when we change our focus and begin to do things differently, that's real power. That's real change take place. First paragraph. Power plays a critical role in black-white race relationships in America. Though we cannot see, taste, or touch it, we can sense its presence and attest to its strength and potency. It affects all manner of human relations. Right now, at this very moment in Chicago, there are people protesting to get change to take place in Chicago because of the murder rate in that city, and because of they're protesting to get the mayor to either A, give them change power, or get out of office, demonstrating their power through demonstrating and through protesting to get somebody else in there to use their power to create change instead of creating change themselves. It's possible. But for some reason, we are in this mindset and this mentality that we must go and ask and demand that those who are in power give us what we need instead of taking it. Same paragraph. A racial and ethnic hierarchy disproportionately distributed nearly 100% control and ownership of wealth, material resources, and privileges to whites at the top of the social order, while blacks assigned to the lowest level were disproportionately burdened with poverty, powerlessness, and social exclusion. The problems created by those power disparities spawn racial inequalities that only power realignment can correct. The dominant white society is not going to give you equality. They're not just going to say, here, I see what you guys are going through. It's unfair. It's not right. We should change this. They're not going to give their power up for you to change, for you to get justice. Matter of fact, ask yourself, what is justice? For a black person in this country, what is truly justice? But they're not going to give you equality. Let me give you an analogy. Right now, if you're a sports fan, which I am also, uh, the Golden State Warriors are killing it. NBA basketball, Golden State. They're undefeated, killing teams, just destroying teams. They are on a another record-setting pace to capture an NBA championship. They're destroying teams. So you have the Philadelphia 76ers, who are trash. And I'm a Sixers fan. They trash right now. Golden State's not going to give up some of their star players in order for the Sixers to become successful, to become on a equal level playing field. Why would they do that? Their whole objective is to win. That's the same. Racism is the same type of thing. It's a real life monopoly game. And those who are winning, the dominant white society, their goal is to keep winning in order to, so they can keep their power, sustain it, and maintain it. They're not just going to say, here. That's not how power works. No one willingly gives up their power. You either create your own power or you take it from those who have it. And we, as black people, have the ability to create our own. Then we can begin to talk about having other forms of equality because we're on the same level playing field. He begins another portion of the book, man. And it's what is power? And he goes by saying, power is defined by Webster's dictionary as the ability to bring about fulfillment of one's desires and needs. Behavioral scientists add another nuance to the meaning of by including in the definition the notion of one entity imposing its will on another. Along the same line, Thomas Sowell, an economist, defines the term power in a much broader sense. Now, pay attention to this definition, man, because this definition will punch you in the doggone throat. He adds the qualifier that power is not simply the ability to get something done, but to get it done despite the resistance and opposition of others. Power is not simply the ability to get something done, but to get it done despite the resistance and opposition of others. You can't sit here and tell me that black folks is not facing resistance and opposition. Are we getting things done? Sure, we're getting some things done. We got people graduating college. We got people, in high levels of office and corporations and things along those lines. But as far as injustice, ain't nothing getting done. We're still depending on those who are in charge of the system to help us get power and get free in the system. We don't need that. And it's not about hating on nobody. It's not about hating white folks. What in the world? Why? when you begin to get caught up in this whole notion that white people hate you and that you gotta hate white people and they ain't doing good and this and this and that, you lose sight and focus on what needs to be done. You don't have to hate anyone to have the ability and desire to create some change for your people. Hatred is a huge stumbling block and hindrance. And so many of you so-called pro-black, conscious black folks are running around spewing all types of hate. That is not necessary. And I ain't telling you to kiss nobody's behind either. But your focus needs to be inward, meaning it needs to be on what we need to be able to do and what we're doing and what we're not doing, and begin to address our own irresponsibility in the plight that we have. Let me give you another analogy. Let me give you another one. And then I'm going to do one more portion of this, and that's going to be kinds of power, because I don't want to keep you long. I know some of y'all got the attention span of a tic-tac, so, I ain't trying to take up all your time. But this analogy right here, and when I say the responsibility part and the accountability aspect, peep this. I'm driving down the street, and because the weather was kind of bad, when the plow trucks came through, they tore up some of the road and created this huge pothole. Now, I'm in a rush. I'm trying to go and get, pick my girl up. We going to the movies, get something to eat, spending some quality time with the queen, whatever the case may be. I hit the pothole. The pothole destroys my vehicle, tears my joint all the way up. Okay? I pull over, get it taken care of, yada, yada, get it fixed, move on, go spend the quality time with the babe. Everything is gone. I'm, at the restaurant later on, and I see some people I ain't seen in a while, and they talking about what they're going to do later on. They're going to go to the same place that I was headed when I hit the pothole. So I tell them, hold on, time out. Listen, now, on that street, you might want to go a different direction. You might want to take a different road, because I tore my joint up driving on that street because there's a pothole there. That's the type of mentality that we have to begin to have. We have to be able to have this mentality of warning people of impending doom. And then it's up to them whether they choose to drive down that doggone street or not. But instead of us condemning each other because of the notion that they desire to go down that road, we should be looking to educate them to prevent them from going down there. Okay? I'm going to give you this right here before I go. Okay? And this is underneath that. What is power? It's a subcategory here called kinds of power. And this is some good stuff. The most common forms of power in black-white relations are group power, institutional power, wealth power, numerical population power, political power, and voting power. That's good. Think on those things for a moment. Group power, institutional power, wealth power, numerical population power, political power, and voting power. The dominant society uses power mechanisms such as government, private corporations, religious and social institutions to perpetuate its self-interest and secure and maintain control of power-building resources. They use all these institutional powers, this government power, their wealth, their political power, to perpetuate and maintain their interests, their desires, what they need. So here, let me go, and I'm going to give you something else. Black labor was a wealth builder, therefore a power-generating resource that dominant society greatly valued and manipulated. To maintain the power generated by black labor, white society used whatever means necessary to keep blacks powerless and under control. So they created laws to make sure they were able to keep us under their control. They created They use their norms, their morals, and their values to keep blacks into a particular position in order for them to have power. School systems. What's history? What type of math, what type of science is being taught in school systems? The type that is there to maintain what the dominant society is looking to continue to perpetuate. That is the means to have others create power, wealth, and influence for them. That's what's taking place. That's what's taking place, man. Bro, listen. To perpetuate its self-interest and secure and maintain control of power building, black labor was a wealth builder. Black labor was a wealth builder, and guess what? It's still a wealth builder. It's still a wealth builder. All these corporations, man, these institutions, the criminal justice system, the new Jim Crow, the prison industrial complex, the school to prison pipeline, all these different things. And that's just a few. We haven't even touched the medical field, how the medical field uses and has used blacks as a means and a methods to further their agenda and their growing wealth by giving certain things in our communities to have us dependent upon these so-called pharmaceutical companies to provide what we need in order for us to get healthy. It's a way of sustaining and maintaining their own self-interest. So when I see people, for instance, you see all in Hollywood, you see all these crazy movies that pop up, Gods of Egypt. What was the other trash joint that was not too long ago? It wasn't just Gods of Egypt. It was a couple of them where they played biblical characters. You had Christian Bale playing Moses. You had some other white cat playing the Pharaoh. And we know doggone well within Egypt, wasn't no white folks. Wasn't no white folks there doing those things. But because these Hollywood executives they're promoting their own interests. So instead of us getting mad and deciding to boycott that particular thing, why don't we just create our own? Why don't we just create our own? It's the holiday season. It's a couple more days left before Christmas pops off. Some of y'all might not, celebrate Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, it's cool. Don't condemn other folks because they do. Because they choose to celebrate, let them celebrate. The point is, this is a great opportunity for you to support black businesses. This is a great opportunity for you to support black businesses. Buy from them. You know what happens if you buy something from a black business for somebody who doesn't normally support black business and they get a quality product and quality customer service from a black business? That black business just got a new customer. Now that new customer is also going to tell other folks about that product they got. And now we're helping that black business become a strong entity with the intent of creating a strong, viable socioeconomic infrastructure for blacks. So we don't have to continue our codependent mentality and our codependent lifestyle. That's all. I encourage you. Yo, folks who I spent money on for the holidays, listen, most of them got gifts from black businesses. I went to black businesses first to try to find out who was selling things that I know the people in my life would enjoy. So I'm not only speaking this, man. I'm not only on YouTube and Facebook, speaking this. I'm living this too. Try my best to live this. And let me encourage you to continue doing the same thing, man. It's your boy Big L with another forum blast, man. Book discussion, Black Labor, White Wealth. cop that joint. Leave your questions, comments, concerns, criticisms in the comment section. And more importantly, man, please subscribe, share the video. I love you. Till next time, I'm out.